This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to our special show, Your Questions on Coronavirus. This is where we take your questions and indeed discuss the latest developments in the battle against the COVID pandemic with medical experts on the show. Joining us, Dr. Tom Devasya, Professor and Head of Department of Cardiology, Kasturba Medical Hospital and Medical College in Manipal, Karnataka. We're also being joined by Dr. Mangesh Devaskar, Consultant Physician and Diabetologist, Shilpa Medical Research Center, Mumbai. Thanks very much indeed, both of you, for joining us this morning. I'm going to kick off this show by asking you about the guidelines that the Home Ministry has now given about patients who are clinically assigned as a mild case by a medical officer having the choice to self-isolate at home now instead of necessarily being taken to a hospital or a medical care facility, as was the case earlier. Dr. Devasya, your views on this? There are, of course, lots of terms and conditions that the Health Ministry has now outlined. For instance, a caregiver must be present to provide care on a 24/7 basis. The patient has to be in touch with the district surveillance officer. But medically, would you say that this is the right way forward, given that there are likely to be many cases and taking them all to hospitals or medical facilities would just choke up the system?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's a very good strategy that the government has undertaken, because those patients with minimal symptoms, they need not be hospitalized at all, because going forward, we will have a lot of cases in our country, and it will be very difficult for the hospitals to accommodate all these patients with very minimal symptoms. So considering the entire scenario that our country is going through, it is quite fair to tell that those patients with minimal symptoms can be treated at home, quarantine themselves in a separate room with a caregiver. Two important points to note now are that, one, that the patient and the caregiver knows very well the meaning of the word quarantine and strictly follows the advice given by the government.
Right.
Two, the caregiver and the patient, both of them feel particularly that it is their responsibility to follow these quarantine guidelines so that they keep the rest of the family, the society as a whole, safe.
Dr. Devaskar, anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, good morning, Ankita, good morning, Dr. Devasya, and good morning, viewers. Thank you for that question, and I completely agree what government has put forth as the guidelines, because as we anticipate that the cases, they may be mild, moderate or severe, are bound to increase, and we are still not through that flattening of the curve. So we need to follow certain measures which can reduce down the load on the management system and can ease out the availability of the beds for the possible severely affected people. So it is quite advisable for those who have only mild to moderate disease, or probably I would say mild disease, to even have a choice of being self-quarantined or even the home quarantine.
Right.
It can be true for both the patients as well as for the caregivers.
All right. Let's take our first caller this morning. Lakshmi Narayan is calling us from Visakhapatnam. Lakshmi Narayan, go ahead with your question.
Good morning, Mrs. Ankita and doctors. I am Lakshmi Narayan Kedia from Visakhapatnam. 2 days back, there was a news item that new virus in Indore is deadlier. What is its prospects of spreading in other places? And what are precautions for protection from the new virus?
Dr. Devaskar, if you would like to answer that, we keep hearing about particular strains or different strains in Gujarat, in Indore. All of this is at least in the news, if not confirmed. What would you like to say to our viewer?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, and thank you, Ankita, for that question. But these are all WhatsApp newses and rumors which are spread. The facts are yet to be verified, to be honest. And we are not very sure about it, but the information has not come from the authenticated resources. So please do not believe on such rumors. In fact, I would recommend that unless until it is confirmed from the authentic resources, try and keep yourself away from making opinions on such kind of news which are spreading on the social media.
I think it's very important to have medically ratified and verified news at this point, and one of the points of this show is to do precisely that, to have every single bit of information that is floating out there, and there is such an explosion of that ratified by doctors. Let's also get the next caller online. We have with us Harish from Chennai. Harish, go ahead.
Good morning, ma'am. My question is about the testing kits. ICMR a week ago said to stop all the rapid testing kits because they are from China and they are faulty. But the very next day, I have two questions after this. But the very next day, one Mr. Anurag Srivathsa, spokesperson of MEA, says he's going to send 44 planes, which is going to carry 400 tons, that is 4 lakh kilograms of RT-PCR tests from China. It's it's mind-baffling, you know. The same country which we are at proxy war, which rapid kits are totally faulty, and they want to bring in about 400 tons of kits from China, one thing. Second thing is, I don't want to get into any controversy, I don't want to create a controversy, but I'm getting this recurring dream, probably the doctors can suggest something. The dream says, it keeps on coming to me, it says like, why is it the non-BJP states are so less in coronavirus cases and the BJP...
All right. These are deeply political questions, Harish, and surely not something that our medical experts can be expected to answer. These are questions that, especially your first one, a question that perhaps needs to be taken up by the government and answered by authorities. But indeed, when the whole world is battling coronavirus together, should we be looking at other political considerations at all? Is China not part of the global fight? But anyway, I don't think any of us here are equipped to answer that question, so I'm going to move on. Dr.
Hello.
Sanjeev is calling us from Bidar. Sanjeev, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello.
All right, we seem to be having trouble with that line. We'll try and correct that and go back.
Hello.
Meanwhile, I'd like to ask a question as well. Dr. Devasya, we also heard the Health Ministry yesterday caution on plasma therapy, which is something we've been talking about for some time now on the show, after Delhi had an instance of a 49-year-old patient, a man recovering after plasma therapy. The doctors had cautioned at the time also that this was by no means a magic bullet and it doesn't necessarily work in all cases. Mumbai now starting to give plasma therapy also to critical patients. Yesterday we heard the government say that there is no proof that plasma therapy is a form of corona treatment. It's still at an experimental stage. So what are we to make of this? Obviously, we don't know enough at this point, but many drugs, many courses of treatment are being repurposed to see if they can be a fit treatment for COVID-19. So is this going to be an ongoing process?
So basically it means that plasma therapy may be considered as a form of treatment, but right now we cannot confirm that plasma therapy is a good form of treatment because we need to collect evidence. We collect the blood and then separate the plasma from the patients who have recovered from the infection, and then we give that plasma to the patients who are having very severe disease. Now it is very important that the patient who receives gives consent and the medical team selects the patient very carefully, and the plasma therapy has to be given in an ICU setup, medically supervised, and then it has to be undertaken for a significant number of patients, and then collect the data, analyze it, and then confirm that this plasma therapy patients have improved or survived. And only after the data shows enough evidence, we can conclude that the plasma therapy is beneficial. That is why nobody is conclusively telling right now that plasma therapy is the treatment or is the best treatment going forward. However, there is...
But Dr. Devasya, the government has also said that plasma therapy can be life-threatening if it's not carefully done. So what are the risks involved?
Because sometimes the plasma given to the patient can have antibodies that the plasma is containing against the virus. However, there is also some chance that the patient who receives plasma can sometimes have serious side effects like allergies.
Right.
That is why these patients' consent is very important, and it has to be given only in ICU setup in medical supervision.
Right. Dr. Devasya, thanks very much. I think it's very important for our viewers to know all of this, because a lot of people are seeing plasma therapy as this magic bullet in a sense. We're also being joined on the phone line now by Anil Patnaik. Go ahead with your question, Anil.
Patient's consent is very important, and it has to be given only in ICU setup in medical supervision.
Right. Dr. Devasya, thanks very much. I think it's very important for our viewers to know all of this. All right. We seem to we'd like all our viewers to turn their television sets off when they are asking their questions, because there's too much of an echo. So we'll try and go back to that caller if we can in just a moment. But let's move on for the moment to... All right. Anil, we couldn't hear you earlier. If you could tell us, if you could repeat your question.
Yes. Who would be coming?
Anil Patnaik, if you're on the phone line with us, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Ankita, the question is, if these people who are getting treated to an extent by the plasma therapy, then why can't it be made mandatory that all people who have got recovered donate their plasma and then go home?
All right. I think we've just sort of covered the ground that this is still at an experimental stage, and the government also is putting a lot of caveats about plasma therapy. But it's an interesting question. We're hearing about recovered COVID patients donating their blood for plasma. Should this be made mandatory? Dr. Devasya, your opinion?
Plasma donation is very much like blood donation, and we cannot make it mandatory. Each person should give it voluntarily, and the consent form has to be read properly and signed just like any other trial. So we cannot make it mandatory.
All right. Anil, we hope that answered your question, and thanks for calling in. We're also getting... All right. Dr. Devaskar, if you had a view on this question as well, we just had a caller asking us, should blood donation be made compulsory for patients who have now recovered from COVID-19 so that their plasma can be used in turn to help others?
Same thing that we...
It sounds a good question, but I would like to differ from that. It cannot be made compulsory to anybody.
Right.
Yeah, it is a good idea, but it's not yet a completely proven therapy. As well, there are a lot of other aspects to the blood-related product transfusions. So we need to be very careful while selecting the patients as well as, because we need to remember that it's not only the the passive immunity or an active immunity which is going to be really important. There are other factors also which needs to be addressed very, very adequately. So it cannot be made compulsory at all. Of course, if there is a voluntarily, agreement between the donor as well as, the healthcare authorities, then it could be worth considering. But still the therapy is under evaluation, and we need to have, we need to wait for little better results out.
Fair enough. YVM Sharma is calling us from Mumbai. Mr. Sharma, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, madam, and good morning, sir. My question is, post-lockdown, we may be attending the offices regularly, though I will be going by car for a 9-to-5 desk-sitting job. Is it necessary to wash clothes on daily basis? What is the risk involved, and what is the best practice? Kindly advise.
Dr. Devaskar, if you'd like to answer that.
Yeah, thank you, Ankita. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. I actually, appreciate your concern. And this is going to be the post-COVID situation that you are going through. Of course, the basic rule stays same, sir. Even though we were not following it very sincerely and meticulously, but now this disease had at least taught every one of us in the community to follow the basic needs of hygiene. So, whenever now this will definitely put us to a situation where we will be forced to follow necessary hygienic precautions which were also initially taught to us by our ancestral people. So we need to follow that, and if we can hold on to these principles, really in future we may be able to avoid similar kind of disasters.
Dharmendra is calling us from Hyderabad. Dharmendra, what's your question?
Yeah, for the last few days, like in the night, I'm getting chills, but there's no fever.
All right. It seems, Dharmender, you're also a diabetes patient. Is that correct? All right. So, what would your advice be to Dharmender? Chills now being identified as the US CDC as one of the symptoms, but chills can happen for other reasons as well.
Yes. And shall I take the question, Ankita?
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Dharmenderji, don't worry about just chills. If you don't get fever, or if you're not having any additional symptoms of running of nose or cough or throat pain or body ache or muscle aches or abdominal disturbances, probably it is unlikely. I would say unlikely. Now, in the due course of time, if you develop fever, if you develop any throat infections or running of nose or body ache, it would be advisable for you to go to the dedicated centers where the COVID testing is done, and you can get yourself tested. And especially if you are diabetic or hypertensive, you need to be a little more vigilant on your health.
All right. Pankaj is calling us from Mumbai. Pankaj, what's your question?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Is it necessary for the donor and the recipient in the plasma therapy to have their blood grouping matched? And should they match?
Dr. Devasya?
Yes, there are a few tests to be undertaken once the volunteer who has recovered from the infection is willing to donate his plasma. Then after signing the consent, the medical team will do a set of tests on him and then collect his plasma. And once an eligible candidate comes who could be a probable candidate for receiving this plasma, then his blood also will be tested and see that these blood and the plasma will be matched. So prior mixing of this plasma and the recipient's blood is considered so that they don't develop allergic reactions after giving. Still, it can rarely happen even after testing that sometimes allergy can happen.
Dr. Bhaskar, anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, in fact, even though it may not be mandatory to match the blood groups as well, but it is always a practice to match the blood groups, especially when you are donating the other blood products. Remember that we need to always remember that this is a product which comes to you from some other donor. So there are possibilities that your body may not react to it favorably. So we need to exert all the possible care and precautions before we actually give the donation to the recipient. Even though it's not an advisable, it's not mandatory to do the blood grouping usually in this scenario, but it is a practice to get their blood groups matched.
Right. Mohammed Fuad is on the phone with us from Srinagar. Go ahead. Mohammed Fuad, if you're with us and if you can hear me, go ahead with your question.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Well, my question is that Asian country, we seem to have control on COVID-19, all Asian countries. But so far as the European countries are concerned, they are testing more. But we are not testing more. Does it mean that because of less testing, we have just have a control over it?
All right. Dr. Devasya, I think his question is, are we testing enough? And the figures that we see at this point of reported COVID cases and deaths, do they really state the real picture? And therefore, can we conclude from these numbers that we are relatively better off than, say, the US or several countries in Europe or in Europe or the UK? What would your answer be?
I think the government is taking necessary steps to increase the number of test kits available, and that number of testing per day can be increased. So there were some problem with faulty kits in the recent past where the kits were imported, so they had to be sent back. And so I think the government is taking enough steps to increase the total number of tests to be done per day. It has gone up since the beginning of lockdown to the present day, and I am very sure that there will be more test kits available, and the government will encourage more tests to be done in the future.
Right. We have time for just one last caller. Rajiv is calling us from Gurugram. Rajiv, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Anita. Good morning to both of your panelists. I've been trying for so long, and finally I've been connected now. So my question would be that would doctor recommend to go out for swimming? Is it wise to go out for swimming?
All right. I'm presuming you're saying all of these questions are for the post-lockdown period. There'll be a few things opening up. Dr. Tewaskar, what is your advice?
Yeah, now my first quick comment on the initial question is this, that I don't feel so we are under testing. We are just adequately testing, and there has been some data to suggest that tropical countries are doing little better than temperate countries, but still we need to wait for the further developments. As far as the second question is concerned, swimming and all those things, we need to be again following the same etiquettes that we are supposed to follow. This is of course in the post-lockdown period as well. But remember that this virus doesn't stay a lot alive in the water, and especially in the flowing water, this virus doesn't sustain itself. So it may be safe, but still we need to follow the precautions.
All right, we leave it at that for now. Dr. Tewaskar, Dr. Devasya, thanks very much indeed for joining us on the show and helping us with your expertise. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at the same time with more callers, more experts to answer all your questions.